right, so for this week's make and take, we are going to make the small fold and store basket. It's a very simple one. It's very easy. Each kit will make 4, and what I love about it is that once you prop them up, you can put all kinds of little stuff in there. Mine goes in one of my drawers to organize all my little things, like so. So, very easy, very simple. Again, all you have to do is fold it down when you're not in use. But mine's always being used, so. Okay. So, let me refill this. And then we will get to what you need to do. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut out your squares. You are going to want to use your foam batting. All right, so you're going to have your foam piece, which is going to go in between. You're going to have 2 pieces of the edge binding, which is this blue part right here, this little blue part. And then you're going to have fabric A and fabric B. Now we're going to go ahead and cut down a little bit more on this one. So give me a second here. All right, so now you are going to cut out what it says in the pattern, what you need to cut out for your binding, your inside fabric, and your outside fabric, and your foam piece. So let me go do that, and I'll be right back. All right, so once you get everything cut out, you are going to want to also take your foam piece and cut out what it says in the directions on the foam piece. What I use is I do use my Carolina Mora box template. I set it to where I need it to be, and then I just cut using that. And now you are going to align the fabrics going down the side. So what you're going to do is you're going to sandwich, have right sides together, and then you're going to take your foam piece and put it on the back, and then you are going to pin or clip whichever way you prefer, and you are going to go down a side, either these. Okay, hold on. There we go. All right. So what I mean by going down the sides, you're going to go down either these 2 sides or these 2 sides. Usually you want to go with the grain of fabric, so whichever one is the more taut. And then you are going to clip or pin into place. I tend to do both depending on what side I am sewing down. Alright. Alright, so now that I am threading my machine, because I forgot to thread it back after I changed up my thread, you're going to do a 1/4 inch seam going down even where there's no foam. And don't forget to start a back stitch. and then same thing on the other side. Now the one reason why I actually do pin the sides I'm folding versus clipping if I am distracted or not paying attention, I know that this is a side I need to sew, because otherwise I'll sew all 4 edges and you're not supposed to do that. So that is another reason why I do both. Okay. And I am going to back stitch. Okay. Alright, so once that is done, I then will turn them right side out and go to my iron and press everything down. I will turn everything right sides out. Like that. Okay. And then I'm just going to take it to the iron and iron everything flat. I'll be right back. Alright, so now that I ironed everything, I'm going to top stitch the edges that I've sewn. So we will go ahead and top stitch. Hold on. Trying to get my camera where I want it, and my seat is not cooperating with me. Okay. Okay. There we go. All right. And then again, same thing. We are going to top stitch the other side. So now what you are going to do is you are going to figure out what size you want hanging out, or not yet, sorry, I'm jumping the gun. Now you're going to mark lines for your folding to make it to start look like a fold and store basket. All right, you can mark either side. You're going to go in what it says to do on the instructions, so you'll mark what it says to do. Okay, and then you're going to mark, you can mark with a erasable pen, a fabric pencil, whatever you feel so comfortable doing. You're going to mark out four lines. So you're going to have matching lines on the same side. So let me do that, and then we will go from there. All right, so once you mark your lines, you're actually just going to sew over those lines. Those are basically your quilt lines. give you guys a little pro tip today, because sometimes my machine does not like it when I have to feed something back through. I put a feeder piece of fabric in there just to help continue on with my stitching. That way I can also just continue chain piecing if I wanted to. And don't forget to backstitch. I did forget. So don't forget to do that. And another pro tip, if you forget to backstitch, you can always just go back over what was supposed to be backstitched. And again, you can feed your feeder fabric through again. Okay. And don't forget to backstitch to secure your stitches. And again, with the feeder, if you are also starting off a project, just go ahead and put your feeder fabric through. And that usually will help with if you have chain piecing or a pointed piece of that you are working on that doesn't like to start at your machine. Alright, once that is done, you are going to have to pick what side is going to be your outside and what is going to be your inside. So for instance, when this one is laying flat, I have the inside on the outside, because when you fold it up, that's when the outside will show. You can do it whichever way you want. Me, I am going to have the black facing outside once everything it actually turns into a basket. So, like I said, with that being that way, I'll fold that up. Okay, put everything back in there. Okay. So with that being said, I'm also going to use my longer clips that I have. It holds a little bit better than my short ones. So I am going to put my gray NASA on the outside for this part. And don't forget just to trim away any excess threads. Okay. Okay. All right, so we're going to fold. Now what you're doing is you're just going to fold it to the other stitch line that you've already created. Okay. And you're going to hold it in place with the longer clips, or if you don't like the clips, you can pin. I prefer the clipping. It's just a little bit easier for me because it sandwiches a lot better. Okay. I use the little ones on the edges just to keep it straight. But then again, I'm going to do the same thing. You still have your two lines. You have 1, 2, and you're going to fold your edges towards there and use your long clips to keep it in place like so. And you can use your smaller ones to keep the edges to meet up. Okay. Now you are going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance on these two sides right here. So we'll do that. Okay. So again, and just go straight across. Okay. All right, and then same thing for the other side. Okay. Make sure everything lines up. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to deviate from the pattern just a little bit, okay? It's easier for me. If you want to follow the pattern, you can. I think it's a little bit easier this way, so that's why I'm going to just change up a few things. The next thing that you want to put on is your binding strips to cover up. I take that back. We're not there yet. Hold, please. Okay. What you are going to do now is you're actually going to draw a diagonal line on your baskets to actually cause them to fold up. Ooh, excuse me. So, take these off. All right. What you are going to do is you are going to make a diagonal line going from right where the foam is basically cut off. You're going to measure down 1.5 inches, and you are going to make diagonal lines going all the way. You're having them go towards each other, not away from each other. You want them towards each other, okay? So, you will mark the 1/2 inch down that you're supposed to. And usually, once you start making these a lot, you will realize it is where the foam on the inside was cut out. And then you're just going to go down to there, okay? But you can go ahead and measure it out. It's basically where the foam is at. Okay. And okay. And then so I marked that line, and now you're just going to go straight to the top. So you're going to just diagonal it. Just like that. And you are going to have all the points, again, facing towards each other, going towards the middle, not away from each other. So it's going to be like that. Okay. And then if you want to give yourself a little bit more security to make sure it doesn't move while you are stitching it, you can put your long clips back on just to help keep them stable. That's what I do. Okay. And then find out. Okay. Okay, so now we are just going to sew those over. Now, I will tell you, I usually back stitch on the folds all the way across, just to give it more reinforcement, because when you decide to break the basket down and lay flat, these are going to get a lot of wear and tear. So I would double stitch, triple stitch, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Okay. So just like so. Okay. And you're going to do this 4 times. I'm going to pick up a shot more in the picture. Okay. It's really your preference how many times you stitch that. I stitch it a few more times because I know it's going to get folded down, folded up, you know. Okay. All right, on to the other side. Okay. All right. Okay, so now onto my deviation from the pattern. To me, it's easier to do it this way. It's completely up to you on how you want to do this. And you can even do this before you get to this step. If you have a tailor's block, or I can never remember what these are called, it's drawing a blank. But if you have one of these wooden blocks, to keep your seams flat, this will help with the fold that we are going to do. So the next step, if you were going to continue the way the instructions are, you would wrap this around with the tabs part. You would just wrap it around and go around and do a 1/4 inch seam allowance on that. But because eventually you do have to fold this part, I do it early. So what I do is I take my Alright, hold please while I look for the tool I'm looking for. Okay, so I usually take my heat ruler because it's going to tell me that I have to fold it about a 1/4 inch seam in. So what I do is I go ahead and do it early. And I take my clapper. See, told you. I'd remember it eventually. And I am just going to go ahead and fold. Now what I'm doing is, it's a step after this one, but I am taking, and I am folding in a 1/4 inch seam, and I'm going to take my quilting clapper and I'm just going to set that right on there. It's going to make that edge really nice and crisp. But that is going to be the part that I end up putting on, not this side, not this side where I'll explain it better when I'm showing it, but it will not show it. You won't put the edge that I just folded on this seam. You're going to leave it out on here because once you fold it, it'll make sense. So we have our quilter's clapper on there just to help get that flat. I'm gonna do the next one. Just like that. Okay. And then again, I am going to put it under my clapper to get it to lay flat. All right. Okay. While that is setting up, we will pull the other one out so I can show you the next step. Now, if you want to do this before you start sewing, you are more than welcome to do it that way. Sometimes it's easier to do it that way. Everything is really flat when it comes time to do this next step. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my bindings, and the edge that I already folded, I'm actually going to lay it away from the edge that I'm about to sew. Because that way, when you actually have to fold this in to make your binding, that part is already done. So then I'm going to clip this down. And I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam on the tape, on the binding. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and put on the other side. Same way. You are going to have your ends folded over. I do about 3/4 of an inch on each side. And then same thing, we are going to stitch it down. Now, what you are going to do is flip this out so it causes everything to curl like that. Okay. Like so, and just like that. Okay. So now it's actually sticking out the way it's supposed to. And now all you have to do is fold it again to go over, and you're just going to go along the edge. Okay. Now I do cheat a little bit. I do use glue to keep everything in place. You can use clips, but I like the way the glue does it better. It's everybody's personal preference. Okay, so if you don't have glue, you don't have to do it. I will show you without glue today. And you can basically fold it up, and you can use clips to keep it in place. Okay. Same thing on this side. Like so. Okay. And you are going to basically top stitch this piece down. And same thing with the other side. Go ahead and clip. Like I said, if you use basting glue, you can also use a little bit of basting glue to keep it in place while you are going down to keep everything straight. You don't have to, but if you're a perfectionist and you want everything to be even, that's what I would do. So now I'm going to take it over here. And I'm going to top stitch it. And we are almost done. So give me one more minute here. We'll top stitch that. And we'll do the other side. Oh, sorry, shaking the camera. Okay. Then we're going to do this side. Again, you're going to top stitch. Don't forget to back stitch to lock your stitches. All right, so we are going to now fix this one real quick. Again, you're going to just top stitch. And just go down, keeping everything lined up. And then back stitch, and voila, you are done. So all you have to do now is clean up your stitches, and you have made your own little fold and stow basket. Very simple, very easy. You just turn it right sides out. And ta-da, you have made your own little basket. Now, my little advice, if you do use the heat erasable pens, you can take your iron to it. Now that everything's done, you can take your iron, and if you have water in it, the steam will actually make those lines disappear. And voila, you are done. So that is it for this week. You can get your kits down at the store or online. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok. So there you guys are. So everyone have a great one, and we'll see you later. Bye.